Now we're going to move down our laser beam, and we're going to do this so that we can duck underneath it and set up some interesting challenges. To start, let's grab our laser object. We'll take the laser and I'm going to move it right down to about here, about 1 unit up. So 2 and a 2.5. I'm going to take my laser switch and drag it over here to the left a little bit so I can play with it. And then I'm going to take one of these blocks that don't move, one of the ones with no rigid body on it or anything else, duplicate it and move it right down here underneath my laser just so that it looks nice and I can't walk right through it. All right, so now I've got my laser here, but if I press play, we're going to see some strange behavior. Let's check it out. In fact, you can probably already see a little bit of strange behavior. My laser beam is off in a weird spot. Let's go turn this laser on and look at that. I now have a laser beam firing over to my player from down here. So what's going on here? Think about this for a moment and try to figure out in your head what's happening. Why do I have a laser beam going from up in the sky and smacking my player? I can turn it off. I can turn it back on, but if I keep running over, you see that I still keep getting a laser on my head. Now I can get away from it just by going over here or something, but the laser is back on my head. So I want you to just, for a moment, think about what's going on. Think about why this might happen, and then we're going to talk through the cause, and I'll show you how to solve it. So I'll assume you've thought through. If not, you can pause and think more. If not, or you're ready to continue on, let's take a look at what's going on here. So we have our laser object, right? This laser is placed right here. I'm going to go to the scene view. Our laser is placed right here in the world at 2.5 and negative 2.5. Our laser has a laser burst object on it that's placed right in the correct position. If our laser was shooting from here over to our player's head, that would be about where it would hit. And we also have a line renderer, and the line renderer has 2 points on it. It has a position 0 that's at 1, 1, and then a position 1, which is, well, variable. Let's watch as I move my character around what happens to that position 1. Position 1 changes, position 0 does not. If I modify position 0 here, let's say I put this down to a 0. You can see that it actually does change it. So position 0 is the start of my line renderer. And since the start of my line renderer doesn't match up with the position of my object, well, it's going to look very strange and be offset. If I copy the position of my object into position 0, then you can see that my laser shows up properly. All right, so it's ready for me to duck almost, except first I'd like to fix it so that we don't have to manually adjust the position every single time. So we're going to stop playing and go make a change to our laser script. We're going to open up the laser script, and in our laser, we're going to add an onValidate method. OnValidate will get called every time it validates our object, essentially every time we click on it, save, or do a build. And in the onValidate method, where I'm going to remove the private keyword, we're going to do a couple things. First, we're going to cache our line renderer. So I'm going to take line 16, cut it, and paste it into 22. That also means that I need to make this into a serialized field, because otherwise it will not save. So if I don't serialize this field, it'll get it in onValidate, it'll work fine in onValidate, but then when I go to play mode, well, it won't have a value because onValidate doesn't run when you start play mode. I'm going to get rid of line 10, add a line after there for 11, so we've got a blank space. And then let's continue on to our onValidate. So in our onValidate, the first thing we want to do is just set our starting point to our transform point. So we'll say underscore line renderer dot set position, and we'll give it index of 0, that first position. And we're just going to set it to our transform dot position. Now our end point, or the left-hand point, should probably do the same thing that we do for our update. It should just figure out where the object is to the left of it that would hit, and then draw the laser out to there. So then we can see what it's going to hit and have a good idea of that in edit mode, not have to go into play mode to test it out. So we'll take the endpoint code, line 40 and 42 and 43, the part where we get the endpoint, the default one out in our direction, and then where we raycast in the direction to find a collider. Copy all of those up to line 30 and paste. And then we'll say if first thing.collider endpoint equals, and here we actually probably could have just copied this line right here, first thing.point. So we'll get that point or for our end. And then the final thing we'll do is set the line renderer dot set position. Oh, whoops, I put this into the wrong method. I put this into toggle. So we're going to cut this, put it into onValidate. There we go. And we'll line renderer set position 1 to our endpoint. Now I'm going to get rid of that extra line that I added in my toggle method, take another look at our onValidate, and then let's go look at it in Unity. We should now see our endpoint properly assigned and our lines showing up in the right spot, right against our player. Now, the one thing that's wrong is that our little laser beam is in the wrong position. So let's go open up the laser script one more time. What did I call that thing? The laser burst. So we need to make sure that the laser burst position is getting set as well. And I believe that is right here, line 53. So we'll copy line 53 as well, and we'll paste that over to, well, let's see. I guess we could probably just do it right here at the end. So we have the laser beam, the point either at the far end or at the thing that it hits. So then we'll know exactly how far it's going to go. Let's check it out. There we go. Now I've got my laser beam there. If I grab my player and I move him around, I should be able to see it update once I go reselect my object, or maybe save. Or press play, and eventually it's going to build and then validate that. All right, let's go turn it on, and we run over here. Looks good. I still can't duck under it, and I stop playing, and yeah, my laser is looking good. All right, so I'm gonna stop playing. Well, I guess I already stopped playing. Go into plastic and make sure that I commit my laser change. So lasers are now movable, and we'll check that in.